Hey everyone, Kelly Dean Allen here with you again. Today we continue our countdown of the top 200 greatest guitar riffs of all time with number 194 on our list. And in that position is the funky ass riff to Suck My Kiss, John Fruchante and the Red Hot Chili Peppers. Now, if you've been following my channel for any length of time, you'll likely notice that I haven't done a whole heck of a lot of Red Hot Chili Pepper tutorials over the years. And there's a very good reason for that. And that reason is I don't like them, and that's fine. I'm allowed to not like a band. We all have bands that we don't like, of course. I don't like Billy Joel or The Who either, if you want to know two more artists that I don't much care for. Not going to let that stop me from teaching you this great John Fruchante riff, which in and of itself is outstanding. So let's close in here a little bit and dig into it, shall we? All right then, Suck My Kiss, John Fruchante and the Red Hot Chili Peppers. We are in standard tuning for this tutorial, and this one goes a little something like this. Right, and you're going to repeat that twice. That is the opening riff. So we're starting on the first fret of the low E onto 3, and then a downstroke mute. Then you're going to drop onto the 1 of the A string, and you're going to catch this along with the open D, open G, and you're going to choke that off almost immediately. Right, just drop your hand back on the strings to choke that off. Kind of like that. Then we're going to go back to the 1 of the low E, back onto 3, and then a down up mute. Right? That is the riff, putting it all together nice and slow. Right there. And you're going to repeat that 3 times. Right, very percussive with your right hand. And then we drop into this. That right there. So we're on the 3 of the A string, hammering onto 5. And then you're going to pick it twice. Down to 3 of the D, pick that 2 or 3 times. Grab the 5 of the D, slide it into 7, pick that a couple of times. Then you're going to roll that 7 of the D down to 7 of the G, slide it into 9, and pick that a couple of times. Right, and then repeat the riff. Right, and that leads into the first verse. The riff is going to change up a little bit here. So let's just recap that. Right, repeated twice, and then we're into the verse riff, which is this. Repeated 4 times. Kind of repeating the same little lick 3 times in a row. This right here. That right there. 1 onto 3, a little mute, and then hit that 3 again. Kind of like that, right? Repeated 3 times. However, the difference between the 3 is the space between the repeats, right? The first 2 are immediate. Right? Then there's a little pause, and then you're going to repeat it again. Pause. And then repeat it again. Into this. So we're going to go 1 onto 3 again, but we're going to pick that 3 twice. Then you're going to do a quick little trill between 1 and 3 of the A, and then roll that 1 up to the 1 of the low E to finish. Pause. Kind of like that, right? Right, you're going to repeat that 4 times, twice before the vocals come in, then 2 more times during the first verse. And then we drop into this. So we're dropping onto a double stop here on the 3rd fret of the A and the D string with our index. Catch those 2 notes together on the downstroke, and you're going to have your pinky down here a fret higher on the 4s of the top 2 strings. And you're going to catch that on the upstroke. And you're going to repeat, and then you're going to move it up one spot. Just move everything up one spot and do the exact same thing. So now our bar with our index is on the 4s and our pinky is down here on the 5s, right? And to finish, you're going to move your pinky up to the 6s, catch it on the upstroke and slide out of it, right? Right back to the riff again for 2 repeats. And then we drop back into this again. And leading into the chorus, we're only going to play through that once. And then we're going to drop into this B flat 7 chord. So repeating this once. And then we're going to go 1, 3 into this B flat 7 chord, which is 1 of the A, 1 of the G, open D, right? Just kind of lightly brush down those 3 strings. And then we're into the chorus. Right, and that's the chorus. 3 chords, E power chord. You're going to hit that twice, choke it off. Then you're going to drop into D, but we're going to start on the suspended note here on the 3rd fret of the high E string. We're going to go off to D, back on, back off. Kind of like that, right? Right into an A power chord that you're going to hit twice and choke off. Right, and then repeat. However, this time, we've got this crazy little dissonant bend here. 3rd fret of the B, 4th fret of the G, little bend release, off to open G, open B. If you catch a little bit of the open high E along with it, fine, it's just a lot of noise, right? And then repeat. And this time, before repeating one final time, you're going to stab on this E power chord like 6 times. The 4th one is kind of a mute, right? Kind of like that. Right? And that's the end of the chorus. So let's just recap that entire track. Starts like this. Right? 3 times into this. Right? And then you repeat the whole thing again into the verse riff. Repeating that 4 times, and then this section here, those double stops, right? Into the riff again. Right, and then you're going to go back into this, right? Repeat that again, back into the riff. And then just before the chorus, you drop into that B flat 7, and then the chorus is E to D to A with those suspended notes, right? Pause. Dissonant bend. Stab. And that's the end of the chorus. And that is pretty much all of the rhythm guitar parts to Suck My Kiss by the Red Hot Chili Peppers. Certainly hope you enjoyed that, found it helpful. If you did, please hit that like button right down there. Maybe drop me a subscribe if you haven't done that already, as that would be very kind. Hope you're well out there, and we will see you next time. Cheers.